Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the January 24th, 2024 Public Board meeting of the Halton District School Board. I'll begin the meeting with roll call. Trustee Ahmed. Trustee Amos. Trustee Baxter.
Good evening.
Trustee Daniele has sent regrets. Trustee Gray.
Here.
Vice Chair Oliver.
Good evening, everyone.
Trustee Rocha.
Present.
Trustee Shuttleworth has also sent regrets. And Trustee Zhang.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Trustee Bryden is also here.
I missed you. I am so sorry. Trustee Bryden is also here. Okay. Trustee Baxter, would you make a motion to go into private session of Committee of the Whole respecting personnel matters and potential litigation?
Yes, I would. Thank you.
Trustee Rocha, would you second that motion?
Yes.
Are there any objections to moving into private session? Seeing none, the motion is passed by unanimous consent, and we are now in private session. Vice Chair Oliver, the floor is yours. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the January 24th, 2024 Public Board Meeting of the Halton District School Board. Trustees are present both in person and online. Joining us in person, Trustees Amos, Bryden, Oliver, Student Trustee Schreballen. Joining us online, and Trustee Bryden and Trustee Rocha. Joining us online are Trustees Gray, Zhang, and Baxter. Trustees Daniele and Shuttleworth have sent their regrets.
Good evening, Madam Chair. I'm also here.
Thank you. Thank you. Trustee Ahmed is also online.
And Trustee Alamjanov.
Oh, perfect. Thank you very much. Tonight, Trustee Rocha will be honoring the land.
Halton, as we know it today, is rich in history and modern traditions of many First Nations and the Métis. From the Anishinaabe to the Arawandran, the Haudenosaunee, and the Métis, these lands surrounding the Great Lakes are steeped in Indigenous history. As we gather today on these treaty lands, we have the responsibility to honor and respect the four directions, land, waters, plants, animals, ancestors that walked before us, and all the wonderful elements of creation that exist. We would like to acknowledge and thank the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation for sharing their traditional territory with us.
Thank you very much, Trustee Rocha. We are now up to item 1.2, approval of the agenda. Trustee Ahmed, would you make a motion to approve the agenda?
Yes, I do, please.
Trustee Bryden, would you like to second this motion?
Yes.
Is there any discussion regarding the approval of the agenda? Are there any objections to approving the agenda? Seeing none, the agenda is approved by unanimous consent. Are there any declarations of possible conflict of interest for this evening's agenda? We are now up to item 2.0, delegations, presentations to the board. We have no delegations and no presentations this evening. So I would like to welcome Trustees Schreballen and Alamjanov to bring the student trustee report.
Thank you, Chair Collar. For the first time, probably in the forever of our term, we do not have a student trustee report. We've been, in Trustee Alamjanov's words, we've been really focusing on the student aspect of our role as a student trustee amidst exam season, and I hope all students listening in are doing the same. The only updates we have to give is our Senate subcommittees are well away doing all the hard work regardless of being exam season, and we're just preparing for our student trustee elections to take place next month. And to all interested candidates, I would recommend checking your emails in the next few days to receive that candidates meeting information. But that's all it for us. Good luck to all secondary students with examinations.
Thank you very much. Do we have any comments or questions for our student trustees this evening? Seeing none, we are now up to section 3, our consent agenda. For approval, we have the Halton District School Board minutes from the meeting on January 10th. And for information items, we have the order paper, administrative procedure updates, approved minutes of the Committee of the Whole, November 22nd, 2023, annual accessibility status report 2023-2024, interim operating and capital financial report September 2023 to November 30, 2023. And correspondence to the board, we have a letter from the Halton Catholic District School Board to Minister Lecce, and a letter from Blue Water District School Board to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. I'll read the motion. Be it resolved that the HDSB approve the consent agenda and receive the information items. Trustee Daniele, Trustee Daniele is on regrets. Trustee Gray, would you make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Yes, I would. Thank you.
And Trustee Amos, would you second this motion?
Yes, I would, and I'd like to pull an item as well.
Okay, is there anyone else that would like to pull an item? Trustee Amos, which item did you wish to pull?
The annual accessibility status report.
Okay. Do we have Superintendent? Yes, Gaudette is here to speak to the accessibility report, and then we will go back to the consent agenda.
Thank you, through you, to Superintendent Gaudette. My question is, first of all, thank you for the report. It does show a lot of what has gone on in the system and a lot of the gains that we have made. So thank you very much to you and everyone involved in that. And I looked at the list of people who are involved in that committee, and it's certainly a great cross-section across the board. My question is, with the deadline of 2025 for being in compliance for AODA, will we be able to meet that deadline? Or is the government showing any signs of extending it?
Thanks for the question. Through the chair to trustees, my realistic perspective on that question is no, we will not achieve the deadline. For example, if you look at this facility, even if we were to start planning and we're fully funded to do so, we're not in a position to be successful by 2025 in having all of our facilities accessible to the extent that they should be. Having said that, I am optimistic that we continue to make headway. We continue to resource great advancements in our sites and our facilities that support the students with needs, as well as our community stakeholders and staff as well that use our facilities. So we are prioritizing, we're addressing and responding to needs, but the 2025 deadline will not be achieved with all of our facilities, unfortunately.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So just to follow up, I'm totally not surprised that we're not going to be able to achieve the 2025 deadline. Even back in 2015, I think, when this came into play, we knew 2025 was not going to be achievable. Is there, do we need it? So I guess my question is around the government. Do we need to let them know that we can't achieve that? Is there something, are they going to be asking for status? Are we, because I know part of the problem is funding, especially around our buildings, or that we don't have the funds to be able to do it. And I'm just wondering if it's realistic to maybe even create a list of the things that need to be done and the cost, and send that to the government and say, we can't do it because it's not realistic.
Thanks for the question. I will say the ministry and some of the tools and reporting mechanisms that we use, they are more active in inventorying the needs of accessibility. You've probably heard of our Facility Condition Index, which is calculation based on needs. When that program started about a decade or more ago, accessibility wasn't even recognized as one of the needs within the system. So we've made advancements that is being inventoried and calculated as part of the business case that the ministry uses to help fund our capital program. So I will say they're aware of it. There are some advancements in that route. Are we fully funded to do it? No, not yet. But the fact that it's in there, it's on their radar, I do anticipate that it'll become easier to make further advancements within our system. I will also say that there have been, we still file reports with the ministry every 2 years to state our compliance, and that when we build new facilities that they are compliant with the legislation. So I suspect some of that reporting mechanism will change as time goes on and we pass 2025. And I will say that there are also some other, I'll say, expert panels that have been convened to look at what the legislation looks like, recognizing that we probably need to do even more because co-chair Allison Vader-Ippolito is on the call as well. She co-chairs this committee with me, and we've responded to, I'll say, our provincial working group, OASBO, in terms of what our response should be to the ministry and around the need to help support greater funding for accessibility. So I'm optimistic around the funding and us getting there. I don't think we'll achieve 2025, and I don't know what the repercussions of that will be.
Okay, thank you. I was just concerned because I know infrastructure is probably the one thing that we can't afford. We don't have the funding for, and it's good to hear that you think there might be some funding at some point for some of that. But with our concerns around our whole budget and the deficit position we're in, and the fact that we do need to do things to some of our infrastructure, I'm really concerned. So I didn't know if we as a board had to be proactive in some way to on our behalf to share our concerns. That was, I guess, where I'm going to.
Thank you. And seeing no other items to be pulled for discussion, are there any objections to approving the consent agenda? Seeing none, the consent agenda is approved by unanimous consent. We are now up to section 4, items for ratification action. And for this evening, we have item 4.1.1, Oakville Northeast number 3 and number 5 boundary review, report 24006 and appendix D, submitted by Manager Thibault and Superintendent Proto. I'll just get this on the floor. Be it resolved that the Halton District School Board implement option 7 and establish new boundaries for all affected schools within the Oakville Northeast number 5 and number 3 boundary review study area for the English program and French immersion programs as described in Board Report 24006 and Appendix D. Implementation dates subject to the opening dates of Oakville Northeast number 3 public school and Oakville Northeast number 5 public school. That the Halton District School Board permits students currently attending affected schools as of June 30th, 2024, who are impacted by the boundary changes to be granted legacy exemptions to graduate at their current school in accordance with option 7 as described in Board Report 24006 and Appendix D. That the Halton District School Board grant transportation to legacy exempted students in accordance with option 7 as described in Board Report 24006 and Appendix D, and that the Halton District School Board allow younger siblings of legacy exempted students to have the option to remain together in accordance with option 7 as described in Board Report 24006 and Appendix D. Trustee Amos, would you like to make this motion?
Yes, please.
Vice Chair Oliver, would you second this motion?
I second the motion.
Manager Thibault and Superintendent Proto, would you like to speak to this report?
Through you, Madam Chair, we have nothing further to add from the last meeting, so we're happy to take any further questions that the Board of Trustees may have.
Thank you. Trustee Amos.
Thank you, through you. I just wanted to thank General Manager Thibault and everyone involved in this process. To me, it was a huge process and it couldn't have gone smoother. And the community members who were representatives on it, they went through all the different scenarios and they were always keeping in mind the criteria around what's best for students at heart. And I believe that the option 7 is the one that best suited everyone in the community. I have heard from some people, and after answering questions, while not everybody's totally happy, everybody is mostly happy. So, and I think that's the best we can do. We've done the best. And so thank you to everyone involved, because I think that, in my opinion, in all the years I've been a part of boundary reviews, this is one of the easiest ones, even though it was the most complex. So thank you to everyone for all of your hard work. And I know the community will really appreciate it when the schools are built and they can move forward.
Thank you very much, Trustee Amos. Thank you, Manager Thibault and Superintendent Proto, for bringing this to us this evening. Is there any other debate? Seeing none, we have exhausted our speakers lists, and we can vote as soon as I bring up the topic. Please cast your votes.
Trustee Gray in favor.
Thank you. Is there anyone else online that would like to cast a verbal vote?
Yes, in favor, please.
Thank you very much. And that
In favor.
Thank you. That passes unanimously. Thank you very much. And a big, big thank you to all of staff that were involved in this boundary review. Kudos to them for a job well done. The next item is 4.1.2, Trustee Expenses Governance Procedure Schedule 1, Report 24012, submitted by Superintendent Schoss. And I'll just get this on the table. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees adopt the Trustee Expenses Governance Procedure Schedule 1 and that all prior versions be revoked. Trustee Bryden, would you make this motion?
Yes.
Trustee Zhang, would you second this motion?
Yes, please.
Superintendent Schoss, would you like to speak to this report?
Thank you through the chair. You've all got the report in front of you. I'm happy to take any questions at this time.
Is there any debate? Seeing none, and we will move on to voting for this item. Seems like it's not in order here. There it is. Okay. Please cast your votes.
Trustee Gray in favor.
Trustee Zhang in favor.
Trustee Alamjanov in favor.
Thank you. And Trustee Ahmed?
Yes, please, in favor.
Thank you. That is a unanimous vote. Thank you. And our next item is 4.1.3, also submitted by Superintendent Schoss, Cybersecurity and Data Protection Policy Report 24013. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees adopt the Cybersecurity and Data Protection Policy. Trustee Rocha, would you like to make this motion?
I would.
And Trustee Amos, would you like to second this motion?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Superintendent Schoss, would you like to speak to your report?
Yes, thank you. Through the chair, the report is before you. I would like to acknowledge the suggestions made by Trustee Bryden just this afternoon. I think they're worth some investigation. And I've committed to Trustee Bryden that within the period of the next 6 weeks, I will sort of apply his recommendations and see how we can fit them in and have an ongoing discussion with him if necessary to try to incorporate his recommendations.
Thank you very much for your report, Superintendent Schoss. Is there any debate? Seeing none, please cast your votes.
Trustee Gray in favor.
In favor, please.
Trustee Zhang in favor.
Trustee Alamjanov in favor.
Thank you. And that is also a unanimous vote. Thank you very much, everyone. That motion passes. Now we're up to deferred action items, and we have one item this evening, 4.2.1, School Year Calendar 2024 to 2025, Report 241014, submitted by Associate Director Salmini. Associate Director Salmini, would you like to speak to your report?
Thank you. Yes, through the chair. You have the report before you for the proposed calendar for 24-25. We always create the calendar in collaboration with the Halton District School Board. It's important that we're aligned because both boards would incur additional transportation costs if we weren't aligned. We have a school year calendar committee that meets to offer feedback for the proposed calendar. We take those suggestions back and discuss at admin council and with the other board, and then we make the final decisions. The committee consists of representatives from the community and various stakeholders, including parents who are on our parent involvement committee. So I welcome any questions.
Thank you very much, Associate Director Salmini. Trustee Rocha.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Chair, I have a question. When planning the calendar, in recognition of our very large population of students who are Muslim and who observe Ramadan, what assessment was made in determining why there isn't a PA day on March 31st? Thanks.
Thank you for the question. So through the chair to Trustee Rocha, that's a good question, and it was discussed at the calendar committee and brought back for consideration. And the decision was made not to schedule not to schedule PD days on those days of significance, because the days are intended for staff, professional learning, and professional activities, and we also have staff who would be observing these religious days. But as always, students who are home for religious observance have the opportunity to have accommodations. So it was about staff not being able to participate in those days, because we certainly have a growing staff that would be observing as well.
Thank you very much, Associate Director Salmini. This item will be returning to the board on February 7th for decision. We are now up to section 5.0, communication to the board. There are no notices of motion for this evening's meeting, and so we now move to 5.2, the director's report.
Thank you. Sadly, to begin, I have to share the passing of two of our students. So we'd like to share the passing of Piper Phillips, who was a grade 2 student at W.H. Morton Public School. So it's with deep sorrow and a profound sense of loss that I share this news. Piper Phillips was in Mrs. Harkinson's grade 1-2 class. We are deeply saddened by the news. Piper will be remembered for her big smile, her love of music, listening to stories, and dancing along to Go Noodle. She also loved to wear costumes to our special holiday spirit days. Sadly, it is also with profound sadness that I share with you the news about the death of one of our grade 12 students at Dr. Frank J. Hayden Secondary School, Christian Chatour, on January 22nd. Christian was a gentle and quiet soul. His kindness was a beacon of light, and he had a special talent to lift spirits. To Christian's family and friends in the Hayden community, we extend our sincerest condolences. And if you will join me in a moment of silence for our two students and for their families. Thank you very much. Next item on my report is a staffing update, and we are pleased to announce the appointment of a new superintendent, Eleanor McIntosh. The position is an addition to the senior team through ministry-directed funding to help the HDSB to continue to achieve success in student learning and further the goals of the HDSB multi-year plan. Eleanor began her career as an elementary math and science teacher and has been a school administrator in the Durham District School Board for 20 years, serving diverse communities in 5 different schools. She has worked in a variety of settings with a number of specialized programs in Ontario as well as internationally. Eleanor has developed her leadership skills in the various roles she has held, including vice principal, centrally assigned education officer, and a secondary school principal. She holds a master's degree in educational leadership and administration and undergraduate degrees in biochemistry and kinesiology. Eleanor will start with the HDSB on January 29th, and we are very excited to have her join our team. So congratulations to Eleanor. The next item is budget consultation update. Budget discussions have been scheduled with the Parent Involvement Committee and system leaders, so our principals, vice principals, and managers, for February 8th. The budget survey is currently being developed and will be released publicly the week of February 5th in order to align the consultation with all stakeholder groups and to allow the school councils, school community, and staff to provide feedback after the presentation takes place. Budget discussions will also continue with trustees at the Committee of the Whole meeting on February 21st. Our next item is high school bus driver absences. As you know, the ongoing shortage of bus drivers has been a persistent issue that is becoming more pronounced after the winter break. And as a result of a recent increase in bus driver absences, largely attributed to illness, Halton Student Transportation Services is expecting potential delays in school bus services that may affect schools in the coming weeks. While HSTS are actively working to mitigate these delays and redistributing routes amongst available drivers, some level of disruption is inevitable, unfortunately. Schools and school communities were informed of these potential delays and cancellations earlier this week, and we continue to monitor the situation, and bus operators are also continuously recruiting and training any additional drivers that they can secure, and we are hopeful that the situation will improve in the coming weeks, and we ask the community for patience. And then finally, we have the anti-sex trafficking information session on Thursday, February 15th at 6:30 p.m. And I believe I'm turning this one over to Superintendent Fowler.
Thank you so much, Associate Director Salmini. So the HDSB is hosting, in partnership with the Halton Catholic District School Board and the Halton Collaborative Against Human Trafficking group, we're hosting an anti-sex trafficking information session on February the 15th. It's going to be in person at Elsie McGill Secondary School. The session is going to run from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. and we are looking to really delve into the realities that are impacting our Halton community and provide insight with regards to who is at risk, and specifically talking about digital and cyber safety, as well as warning signs and ways in which we can continue to keep our community's children and youth safe. We do encourage members of our community to attend. We're very much looking forward to sharing all of the important information that we need to get across to everybody. Thank you. More information about this will be shared with all families and part of a news release in the coming week.
Seeing no questions regarding the director's report, we'll move on to 5.3, communications from the chair, and I have none for public session this evening. 5.4, committee updates. Do we have any committee updates this evening? Seeing none. OPSPA. Do we have an OPSPA update for public session?
Yes, we do, through the chair. Good evening, everyone. Just want to just state how excited we are this week to be able to come together at the Public Education Symposium being hosted in downtown Toronto. The focus of this session for all trustees across the province is leadership excellence and strengthening public education together. So I look forward to joining my colleagues here in the city for the next couple of days for some excellent workshops and the ability to meet up with our colleagues from around the province. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Trustee Gray. Moving on to trustee questions and comments. Are there any questions and comments for this evening's meeting? Seeing none, we have reached section 6.0, which is adjournment. And as our agenda is exhausted, I call this meeting adjourned. Thank you very much. Have a good night, everyone.